Welcome to Being at Home with George during the time of COVID. I'm excited to be here, and I'd like to talk about this idea of creating the possibility of embracing whatever happens and at the same time generating the hope. And I was thinking about this idea of home is where the heart is, and reflecting on that and thinking about today, we had a family physician who passed away. And so it seems to me that I've been going to funerals for the last 5 weeks or so. Every week there's someone that I'm paying my respects to, three family members, as well as a family physician, which is like a family member and dear friends and forms of suffering. I have a brother that's been on dialysis waiting for a kidney transplant. And so I'm feeling a little bit disoriented and scattered, and there's an unease or off kilter. And even though I'm not suffering to the degree that I'm overwhelmed by it, but there's a kind of like a subtle suffering or discomfort. It kind of reminds me of when I used to go into the video stores and I'm looking to rent a movie, and they got hundreds of videos, and I go in there and I just can't find anything that just satisfies me or something that I'm interested in. It's just like the Rolling Stones, can't get no satisfaction. It's just something a little bit off or uneasy. And so it reminds me of this idea of having to come back home or come back inside. And I like to talk about this idea of the eye of the hurricane and the whirlwinds around it. And so I'm more into the whirlwind or the turmoil than in the center where there's peace and ease. And it's challenging to be at peace and ease when there's so much suffering going around us or around me, so much uncertainty, the military term of VUCA. Everything is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And it's almost as if I'm on a boat in the ocean, and normally it's calm, but now we have some rough waters. And so I have to maneuver and adjust just to keep afloat. And what helps me to do that is this idea of prayer and meditation. But for me, especially for the people who have passed or even having experiences of losing things or things changing, is to really focus on being fully present and having gratitude for being able to have relationships and spend time to really be more kind and be grateful for what I have and grateful for my own health as well as others. And so this idea of just talking about there's so much uncertainty if we want to talk about interest rates or inflation, or if we want to talk about what's happening in Ukraine, but I imagine all around the world there's suffering. People are getting shot, dying. I guess there was a mass shooting somewhere last week. So there's just something about how can we be where the heart is, be able to focus on things like kindness, compassion, seeking to get beyond this illusion of separateness. And so for me, it's just reverence for life, this idea of being kind as much as I can, and knowing that even though things seem to be okay, I might be short. In other words, I might be easily unsettled or frustrated, and it may come in different forms. But the whole idea is to embrace that and to say, yeah, it's okay for it to be there. And how I deal with it is through prayer and meditation, which includes this idea of gratitude practice. And at the same time, forgetting myself by helping others to find myself and thinking about helping other people who are suffering. And I have the advantage or the opportunity in my interactions with the folks I work with in social media to really talk about this idea of the home is where the heart is. And I'm thinking about this samurai poem where the samurai says, I make awareness my home. And so if we can just be in the heart, embrace what's there, and understand that the suffering is there or the pain is there, but also what's there is the joy, is the peace, is the ease. So that there is this possibility of both being in suffering or unease and ease. Ease is there, both occupying the same space. And it's by embracing the unease, in my experience, or the suffering, that allows the peace or the ease to grow. And realizing that, yeah, people die and people pass on and things change. And the best thing I can do is to be fully engaged in the moment and being fully present with folks and situations, and realizing that just for today I have this, but tomorrow there's no guarantee. And that's the challenge, is how do we embrace uncertainty? And the best way that I know to embrace that is to know that be here now, because this is the only time we have. And if I can be myself, if I can really just be authentic and just feel what I need to feel, but at the same time, generate the hope and this idea of helping others and getting out of myself to find myself by talking about we have this masterpiece within and we have this ability to embrace and hold whatever comes up and generating a hope and to ask ourselves, what's the lesson? What do we need to learn? And for me, what it comes down to is for me to come from love, this idea of love is all you need, or love will find a way. And so we need to understand how do we embrace the suffering and at the same time be able to generate hope. And if we can stay in that eye of the hurricane or be at home with ourselves. And for me, that's spending time with myself, being with myself, so I can be real with how I feel and then decide how to embrace it and generate the hope and use it as a stepping stone, not as a roadblock. So that's my wish, is that we bring more kindness, more compassion for ourselves as well as others, and understand that it's better together. And that if we can get beyond this illusion of separateness, love will find a way.